Chapter 6, More Conditionals and Loops. In this section, you will learn about switch statement and do and for loops. First, I'll talk about switch statement. The switch statement provides another way to decide which statement to execute next. So this is very similar with if statement. The switch statement evaluates an expression, then attempts to match the result to one of several possible cases. There is a case statement in the switch statement. Each case contains a value and a list of statements. The flow of control transfers to statement associated with the first case value that matches. This is a general syntax of a switch statement. At first, you need to write switch like this, and then parentheses, and brace. Inside the parentheses, there is an expression. So it should be evaluated and determine just one value. And inside the switch, several case statement like this. And beside the case statement, you should write some value and colon, value and colon, value and colon. And inside each case statement, there could be several statements to be executed, like this. Then, switch statement executed like this. This expression, see this expression, and if this expression is this value 1, then statement list 1 is executed. If this expression is not equal to value 1, then see if this expression is same as value 2. If it is, then statement list 2 is executed. Okay, so if expression matches value 2, control jumps to here. Okay, jumps to here. And likewise, if the expression is not equal to value 1, value 2, and if expression is equal to value 3, then statement list 3 is executed. So it works like if statement. Okay? Here, switch and case are reserved words for Java programming. In the switch statement, sometimes there is a break statement. Actually, break statement is very important in the switch statement. Often, a break statement is used as the last statement in each case's statement list. A break statement causes control to transfer to the end of the switch statement. So it means that if the control meets a break statement, then the control goes out of the switch statement. That is, the switch statement ends. If a break statement is not used, the flow of control will continue into the next case. If a break statement is unused, the flow of control will continue into the next case. We will see this example later. Sometimes this may be appropriate, but often we want to execute only the statements associated with one case. This is an example of a switch statement with a break statement. Here, switch, in the parentheses, we should put some expressions. We can put like this the variable, and brace should be here. And there are 3 cases. And beside case, there is a value that can be option. Case B, also B can be option. Also C can be option. So the value in the case statement should be the same type of this variable. Okay, so we can think option is char type, and option will have some value. So if option is A, then this part will be executed. So if option is A, then variable A count will be increased by 1. And here is break. Break means go out of this switch statement. So if the break is here, then the program control goes here. Okay. And if option is not A, then see if option is B. If that is the case, then the variable B count is increased by 1, and here's break, so the program control goes here. Okay. If option is not A and option is not B, but option is C, then variable C count is increased by 1, and then break, it means control should go out of switch statement. Can you understand how a switch works? The switch statement can have an optional default case. The default case has no associated value and simply uses the reserved word default. So it's just like an else statement in if statement. So if the default case is present, control will transfer to it if no other case value matches. If there is no default case and no other value matches, control falls through to the statement after the switch. And this is important. The type of a switch expression can be integers, characters, enumerated types, or string objects. This means that in here, in switch statement, this is the expression part. Here, only byte, short, int, char, string, or enough types data can be placed here. Long cannot be placed here. So boolean, long, and floating point numbers, float, double, variables cannot be here. Okay. So here, even if long is an integer, long cannot be inside this parentheses. This is important. You haven't learned the enumerated types. You will learn later. I will compare switch statement with if-else statement. At first, see if-else statement here. Using scanner, the computer will read one integer, that is score. And if score is 100, then excellent will be printed out. And all of these will be skipped, right? So if score is 100, excellent will be printed out and control goes here. If score is not 100, then see if score is 90. If this is the case, very good is printed out, and all of these lines will be skipped, and control goes here. Okay. Likewise, if score is 80, then skip this part, and this is the case. So good is printed out. If score is 50, what if score is 50? Then this is not the case, so skip this part. This is not the case, skip. This is not the case, skip, skip. And finally, else statement is executed. So fail is printed out. Okay, so you understand this one. Switch statement is very good when using this kind of a comparison. Here, this is the same. Enter one integer value and switch parentheses. Inside parentheses, you need to put some expression. Usually we put some variable like this, and then case. There are 4 cases. 1, 2, 3, 4 cases and default statement. And in the case statement, because the score is integer, in the case statement, integer value should be here like this. Okay, so if a score is 100, then this case is the case where 100 is the score. Then excellent will be printed out, and break means end the switch statement. So after printing out excellent and mid break, so program control goes here. Okay, this means that break makes skip all these lines. If a score is 80, then score is not 100, so skip this part. Score is not 90, so also skip this part. Score is 80, this is the case. Then good is printed out, and break makes the program control goes here. Can you understand this one? So these two codes are exactly the same. Okay, so default is just like else statement, So switch statement is very good at this kind of situation. Score is this value, or score is this value, something like that. This is the execution result of the previous code here. If I put 100, then this is the case. So excellent is printed out, and break means control goes out of switch statement. So control goes here. And if I put 90, then very good is printed out and break. So control goes here. 80, so 100, 90, 80. This is the case. Good is printed out. Break means go to this place, right? So only good is printed out. 70, 70, not 70, not 70, not 70. Here 70 is, so OK is printed out. And if enter the score is 50, then 50 is not 100, not this one, not this one, not this one. So default is the case where the score is 50. So fail is printed out. I think you completely understand this one. See this one. If I enter the score 95, there is no case 95 in the case statement. In the case statement, there is no 95. So in default statement, this one, fail is printed out. Can you understand this one? So you must be careful when you write a switch statement. Okay. This is an example of without break statement. So at first receive the score, and then there is no break, right? There are 4 cases, 100, 90, 80, 70 and default, but there is no break statement. If the score is 100, then this is the case, okay? So this line is executed. So excellent is printed out. And because there is no break, just go on to the next statement. So it prints out very good, it prints out good, it prints out okay, and it prints out fail. Can you understand this one? Break is very important. And likewise, there is no break statement and score is 90. Then this is not the case, so skipped this line. And the case is 90, so here is 90 case. So very good is printed out. And because there is no break statement, good, okay, fail will be printed out. also like this. Likewise, if the score is 80, then skip, then 80 is here. So good, okay, fail will be printed out like this. And 70. If the score is 70, then also skip. 70 is here. So okay and fail. Two lines are printed out like this. And if the score is 60, there is no 60 in the case statements. So skip all these case statements, and then in the default, fail is printed out. Can you see this? So break is very important. Actually, break controls switch statement. Let's see this example. In this case, I put break in some parts of the case statement. Here, integer score is red. And then if the score is 190, and 80, and 70, and there are two break statements like this. So if I put 100 as a score, then this is the case. So excellent will be printed out, and there is no break statement inside case 100. So next statement will be executed. So very good is printed out like this. Excellent and very good. And then there is a break statement. See? So this time the control goes out of switch statement. So the line here will be executed. Okay. Next, 90 is entered. Then this is a skip. And this is the case where 90 is. So very good is printed out. And then there is break statement here. So program control goes out of switch statement. So only very good is printed out. Next, 80 is the input. Then skip, and 80 is here. So good is printed out. And then since there is no break statement, the next statement, even if the next statement is in the case 70, the next statement is printed out. So good, okay is printed out. And then here is a break. So program control goes out of switch statement. So good or okay are printed like this. And 70 also skip all this part, and case 70 okay is printed out, and break means go out of this place. So only okay is printed out, and enter 60. 60 is default. Okay, so fail is printed out. Can you see how much break statement is important in the switch statement? Break is very important, so you must be careful. One more example about break statement. Read the input, integer input. And if the score is 100, then this is the case. So excellent will be printed out. And since there is no break statement, the next statement will be printed out. Very good and good. And here there is a break statement. So these three lines will be printed out. And 90 is here. So very good and good will be printed out. 80, only good is printed out because there is a break statement. 70 is here. Okay will be printed out, and there is no break statement inside the case 70. Next statement, this one, will be printed out. And if the score is 50, then we don't have a 50 case, so default part will be printed out. Okay, so now I think it is very clear for you, the break statement. This is an example of without default statement. Here, we receive one input. This time input is a string. So enter the title of the movie. Then the user will enter movie title. So scan the next line will receive one line. And here is a string. Movie is a string. I told you that in the switch parentheses, byte, short, int, and string type can be inserted here, can be here. You cannot put long or floating point type. Float double cannot be here. So there are 4 cases and there is no default statement. And each case has a break statement. Case, break, case, break. See? So each case statement has a break statement, but there is no default statement. Then if the user input Avengers Endgame, then this is the case, right? So box office number 1 movie will be printed out, and then here is a break. So the program control goes out of switch statement. So this line is the first line of after switch statement. So outside of switch statement will be printed out. So 2 lines like these 2 lines will be printed out. And if I input Black Panther, then Black Panther is here. It is released in 2018, and then break. So outside of switch statement will be printed out like this. And if the movie title is frozen, here is frozen. So night title song and outside of switch statement. Okay. And Iron Man. If the input is Iron Man, then Iron Man is Marvel Comics character and break outside of switch statement. Okay. So 2 lines will be printed out like this. If the input is Star Wars, there is no Star Wars here. There is no case. There is no case of Star Wars. So in that case, we cannot execute any line here. So just skip all the lines of switch statement and then print outside of switch statement. Can you see that? Okay, so if there is no default statement, it is possible skip the whole part of switch statement. This is an example from the textbook. Actually, this example is very similar with the previous examples. But let's check it out. This one, at first, enter numeric grade from 0 to 100. So one integer will be input. So next, grade divided by 10. This is an integer and 10 is an integer. So integer divided by integer means find the quotient, right? So if grade is 100, if the grade is 100, then category will be 10. If the grade is between 90 and 99, then the category will be 9. If the grade is between 80 to 89, then category will be 8, right? And so on. So we can scale the number a little bit differently here. So category will be, if this is 0, if grade is 0, then category will be 0, right? So category will be between 0 to 10. So in the switch statement, case 10, perfect score, well done, break. And case 9, this is the between 90 and 99 score, right? So we're above average. And if the score between 80 and 89, then case 8, and the score is 70 and 79, average will be printed out. And score is between 60 and 69, this line will be printed out. And default means under 59, right? Under 59. So example here, if the user input 91, then case 9 is the part they should be executed. Okay?